So my guest today is Kelly Roach. Hi, Kelly.
Hello, I'm so excited to be here today. Hey, everybody.
Thank you. And as I said, I'll do the serious thing first, and then we'll enjoy ourselves, hopefully. So Kelly is a business strategist who transforms overworked entrepreneurs into seven-figure CEOs by teaching them how to leverage timeless business principles employed by billion-dollar corporations with the speed and agility of the most powerful online marketing strategies of today. Kelly's multi-million-dollar company, Kelly Roach Coaching, is the fastest growing coaching program on the market and the first of its kind. Her accountability-driven approach has been responsible for hundreds of clients finding financial freedom through entrepreneurship. Kelly is also the creator of the live launch method, a simplicity meets strategy approach to making millions online through launches that consistently generate six-figure results. Kelly is not only a best-selling author, but is also an ongoing expert on ABC, NBC, Fox, and the CW. Actually, I don't know what CW is. European, maybe that shows. Yeah. She has been featured in some of the world's leading publications, including Inc. and Forbes, and is the host of the top 10 marketing podcasts, The Kelly Show. The Kelly Show. I'm not going to give you the contact number, but well, as I said, the serious stuff. Now, out of the way, I do want to ask the first question, which will be actually a little more serious, probably. Kelly, you say that, at least in the bio, it says that you help people to find financial freedom through entrepreneurship, through being a business person, and this theme of finding freedom or being more free, more at liberty through entrepreneurship is I can just feel it through your bio. You know, the overworked entrepreneurs turning into massive success. Yet we live in a society where we equate massive success, especially if it's financial success, like very pragmatic financial success, to working hard. And I think that's the paradigm that nobody ever questions. And if you come and say like, hey, you could be free and rich, usually people think that this is not real. So how do you see that? Is the freedom really in entrepreneurship, or is entrepreneurship something which requires a lot of hard work and freedom comes later?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. I think anything in life that's worth anything usually requires sacrifice and hard work, right? And I believe that financial freedom is available to anyone that is willing to focus on aligning the desire that they want for their life with the actions that they take day to day. You can find financial freedom as an employee working for someone else's company. You can find financial freedom as an entrepreneur. I think the most important thing is, do you have a plan? Do you know what your value system is? Do you know what is truly important to you as an individual? Because I think a lot of people set goals or follow parameters based on someone else's vision. Someone else told them that they needed to do this. Someone else set the expectation for their life that they needed this type of career or this amount of money, or that they needed to follow that path. I think freedom is all about aligning what's inside of you, your sole purpose, your vision for your life, your true honest mission, aligning that which is inside with what you actually do on the outside. That is what freedom is to me. And I do think, you know, as far as entrepreneurship goes, to answer your question, entrepreneurship on the front end is more work, it's more sacrifice, it's longer hours, it's harder than anything you've ever done in your life. And freedom doesn't come until many times year 10, year 15, right? They always say every overnight success is 15 years in the making. You know, the pleasure and the freedom that comes through entrepreneurship matches your own personal growth. It matches your own ability to learn through the things that are required to actually experience freedom. And I think freedom looks completely different for every single person. I don't think there's two people that freedom is the same for. So for some people, freedom is the absence of worry about how they're going to pay their bills. It's peace of mind. right? For others, freedom has to do with location. For others, freedom is the ability to pursue what is fulfilling to them, right? And so I think entrepreneurship is a vehicle, and it's a vehicle that, if used the right way, can bring together all of these things. But it's a multi-dimensional and complex thing. It's been very much glamorized and oversimplified, I think, in the world of online marketing, in the world of social media. But it can really transform your life if you're willing to go through the steps to get there.
Kelly, back to freedom. You did mention that it's different for everyone, but I do want to go a little deeper into this topic. So, do you talk about freedom as in financial freedom, which is one thing, like I could afford anything, I don't have to worry about paying the bills, or is it the freedom of choosing what you can do with your life, in your life, including when you feel like taking time off your business?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to me, the first freedom, and like I said, I think it's different for every single person. My first freedom is to put my family first. So, and that's personal to me. For each person that's watching and listening to this conversation today, it might be something different. You order and rank the freedoms as they are important to you in your life. For me, I have an 8-year-old daughter and a husband that I love very much. And my first freedom is the ability to put them first. It's the ability to prioritize the intimacy of our family unit and to make decisions that I feel will benefit my daughter's life in a meaningful way and our ability to function well as a family. So that does include taking time off of work. That does include location independence. That does include being able to pull back when I feel like there's something that life is demanding that requires my time and attention. So I very much think of freedom as a multidimensional thing, because if you have financial freedom, but you don't have the other freedoms in your life, that financial freedom is really worthless. What's the point of having money in the bank if you don't have a life that allows you to exercise the freedom that you just earned? And that's what a lot of people, I think, miss when they look at wealth. A lot of people look at wealth as a one-dimensional thing. It's not a one-dimensional thing. We're not one-dimensional, right? When we think about wealth, wealth is your health, it's your family, it's your spirituality, it's your ability to have a fulfilling and challenging career. Yes, money is a piece of that, but I look at wealth as being this pie that encompasses your life holistically. And I think it's really important that as you're pursuing building wealth, that you're looking at how every decision that you make impacts each of those areas of freedom, because you can back yourself into a corner that makes it all not really worth it.
So coming back to what we are talking about now with Kelly again, you did mention that it requires some sacrifice and some time, yet freedom also means that you get to choose what you do. It's not just financial freedom. So when is that time, or how do you know how long do you need to sacrifice before you can say, okay, I'm done? Why I'm asking that is because our human nature is actually to keep pursuing things. So where is that border where, you know, I've actually made it and now I can take the time off, versus no, I need another zero?
It's so good. Oh my gosh, it's such a good question, because I think that's what we forget. I think so many people forget when you finally accomplish the thing that you were working so hard for, to like stop and be in it and feel it and like be a human and actually celebrate it. I think so many times the chasing is so continuous that you don't do that. And I feel like I'm a recovering person that used to do that. As a younger person, I was so achievement focused, and I was so focused on the next outcome that I didn't stop to feel the presence, the glory, the satisfaction, the enjoyment, and the happiness of the success that I was creating. And I think that was, you know, in my 20s and early 30s, that was definitely a place that I lived in continuously. And as I got older and I began to really understand my true values as a person and what mattered to me in life, that's when I actually began to really sink into like the ability to pause and actually feel the emotion that comes with enjoying that accomplishment. So I think just the fact that you brought that up, I would challenge everyone that's listening to really think about when you are pursuing things in your life, are you pursuing them for the on paper accomplishment, or are you actually connected to what the experience of that outcome is? Because those are two different things. One is very empty, right? It might give you a moment of happiness, like literally for that singular, minute that you say, oh, I accomplished A, B, C, X, Y, Z. It's the difference between one moment of satisfaction versus months or even years of true fulfillment and happiness when you're doing something because you're attached to the meaning that it creates and what experience you're going to feel and be in your life when you accomplish it. So I think that's huge. I don't know if did that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Of course. I'll ask. If I'm not sure, I'll ask again. You know what I want to ask? My experience in business has been that very often entrepreneurs, well, it's not my personal experience because I've been a little lazy most of my life, but most of entrepreneurs, they tend to become enslaved to their own business in a sense. So while you understand that, yes, you've achieved something, can you find time to pause and to enjoy that? There may be the practical complication of not being able to actually step out of this hamster's wheel, because the way the business is built is already so attached to your presence and to your participation that sometimes, and I've experienced that too. Like I decided to take a sabbatical to finish up my book, but then can you attend this meeting? And then you just get sucked in. It's like quicksand. Do you have any practical advice? How do you actually break out of that swamp that holds you?
It is a swamp and it is quicksand for sure. It's something that I focus an immense amount of time teaching and helping entrepreneurs with, because it really is a challenge that the vast majority of people struggle immensely with. And the answer to that is systems and team. And, that sounds simple, but it's not. Even for myself, I think one of the things I did right in my business was that I started building team from day one. So there was a lot of things all along the way that I was never entrenched in my business, which allowed me to maintain a quality of life and have controls in place around what I was doing. But as the business scaled and scaled, and it got to the point where I needed true leadership in order to take back my time and in order to, really be able to exercise the freedom of the business that I was built, it's taken me 2 years of refining and hiring and firing the wrong people and finding the right people for leadership roles in my company. And I finally feel like sitting here today, I can say confidently, like, yes, like I have the right executive team, I have the right leadership team, like we're, on that path. But that was 2 years just on that focus, just on finding the right VP and executive level people and getting them to the place of implementing successfully. Most entrepreneurs are so focused on running lean and pulling as much profit out of their businesses as quickly as possible that they don't want to make the strategic investments in building infrastructure and systems and operations and team to the level that they can have freedom. And they don't realize that they're actually shortcutting their freedom by trying to pull more money out faster instead of investing that money to build correct systems and operations and team so that they can build a company where there's a distinction between them and the business. For most entrepreneurs, they are the business. And so there is no business without them, right? Which is the worst thing that you can do, because then you have a business that's never going to be sellable. It's never going to be sellable. You can't sell a business that is going to collapse the moment that you get pulled out of it, right? So my advice for entrepreneurs is, slow and steady wins the race from the standpoint of be patient, really invest in building a foundation for success that the business can stand on. Look at how you can minimize your role within the company, but in a smart and strategic way. I think other people just say, oh, I'm going to pull myself out of this, I'm going to delegate. And then they try to delegate really quickly all at once. And then what happens is it all backfires and it comes right back on their plate again. So it's being patient, and it's really taking the time to slowly put the right infrastructure, systems, and people in place so that you can minimize your role in such a way that you can take back your time, have that freedom, have people that you trust that can lead and can instill vision and can create accountability and can delegate and manage the company for you.
It is a little bit of a slippery slope, though, isn't it? Because some entrepreneurs would feel that, oh, maybe I'll sacrifice myself a little bit more. So when do you know that, you know, that this whole idea that I'll do it lean, I can make it myself, I'll start hiring people a little later. When do you know, when is it time to actually start building the systems and people? A lot of people go into business actually without the without the practical possibility to even start hiring someone. Or do you practice on little things like hire someone for an hour?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I did. Actually, my first hire was a VA for an hour a week. And I started with a VA for an hour a week, and then I literally built it up from there. So my piece of advice is start small, but start right away. And you earn your way to investing, right? Don't go into debt. Don't go use someone else's money, right? There's this huge focus now about going out and fundraising and, you know, getting the VC money and all of that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you don't have the practical business experience, if you haven't built a viable product and a viable company, that money is not going to do that for you. If you have not developed the emotional and mental capability to build and run a successful company, no amount of money is going to solve that for you. So you can do it from nothing by just starting, like I said, you know, you bring someone on for an hour, you bring someone on for 15 hours a week, you have a contractor, you have a part-time person, then you have a full-time person. You can do it one step at a time. But I think it is really important to start on that literally from day one.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And I'm glad to see that we have Lisa here with us. Lisa, I'm going to pass my microphone to you to ask the question.
Hi, Kelly. My question is, how do you basically learn, or, you know, how can we teach ourselves to, you know, start to let go and actually delegate? Because I have a business, and at home I have twins. I have 5-year-old now, girls. And, you know, I need time with family, taking care of the house. And I found it really hard to actually put in the processes, let go without worrying and constantly calling to check if everything is in place and, you know, going accordingly. And, you know, just try to see, okay, the business is growing by, you know, itself. Let me focus on what is really important. Family, I have a passion for surfing. And it's really hard because I think at the same time I need to give up being a CEO straight away so that I can actually let go. But I feel that no, there is still more to be done by me as a founder and CEO before I actually step away.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. There's so many facets of what you just asked, but I think that again, it's slowing down the speed up. It's taking a step back and getting organized and really getting clear on what you need to get out of your head and onto paper from the standpoint of SOPs, systems, step-by-step policies and procedures. You need to slow down and block days on your calendar. They're called CEO days, right? And a CEO day is where you are doing strategy and thinking and processes development and visioning instead of busyness. Most people are so busy in their businesses that they're not actually strategically doing anything. There's no forward movement strategically. It's really just you're in quicksand, just kind of like treading water. So I would suggest implementing CEO days. If you can't do a full day right away, you could start with a half day. If you can't do a half day, start with an hour, right? You start from where you are with what you've got, but you have to get organized. You have to get things down on paper. And to answer your second question about, you know, the process and, you know, pulling yourself back, you have to really evaluate the things that you're doing in the business and gain clarity around what things you're doing that really truly are things that only you can do, which is almost nothing, by the way. There's almost nothing that you can do besides you, the CEO, being the face of the company. There's almost nothing that someone else on your team can't do for you. So that's the release and the unlock of understanding that. And then it's setting out on a path, again, starting with organization and focus to then delegate effectively. And delegating effectively is slowing down. It's slowing down to get organized, to make sure that you're transferring the information effectively, to make sure that someone understands not just the what, but the how and the outcome that you desire. And when you focus on that, you will start to make leaps instead of just little baby steps. Does that make sense? Yeah, great questions.
Thank you, Lisa, for your question. And Bianca, if we have anyone else, please do bring them up. You know, Kelly, I'm really glad you formulated that question exactly in those words. What are the things that only you can do and no one else? Because that was the question which I spontaneously asked myself after the last time I decided to take sabbatical, because I just got a little tired of doing the same thing over years and years and years. And when I came back to business, I decided I'm only doing the things that no one but me can do. So I'm really glad to hear these words coming from an authority, because I feel like, okay, it wasn't just me being lazy, but the good advice. Bianca, do we have someone else who wants to join us?
Maybe in a second. So
okay, in a second.
Yeah.
So I do not know if I'll take the conversation elsewhere, but I was curious about the conviction marketing. I know we were to talk about marketing, but obviously talking about business in general, or being an entrepreneur and finding freedom in that just seems like such an interesting thing. But what does it mean, conviction marketing? Maybe it's okay if we make a little sidestep to that, and then we'll get back to the questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So the whole idea of conviction marketing came about when I saw this trend about 3 years ago of influencers online basically teaching entrepreneurs to parrot trending songs, trending behaviors, dances, challenges, the pointing and the dancing, you know, the follow the leader type thing. And I felt like that was the most dangerous trend for entrepreneurs that I had ever seen, because it really removed the key thing that I believe is necessary in order for an entrepreneur to live out their full potential, which is the unique DNA of who they are, and building a brand around that distinct value and purpose that they can bring to the world. And I said, wow, this is amazing. Like, I cannot believe that millions of people are going along with this. Like, it's crazy. And then simultaneously, the barrier to entry in business is zero. The market saturation is at an all-time high, and entrepreneurs are struggling to figure out how they can stand out. And why are they struggling to figure out how to stand out? Because they're doing the same thing that everyone else is doing, and they're being trained to continue to do so. And so I was like, wow, this is like unbelievable. My mind was completely blown, and I couldn't believe that no one was talking about this. And as an entrepreneur that runs a completely online virtual company that leverages social media as my primary tool for growing my business, I never engaged in any of those things. And we're one of the largest companies, you know, in the online coaching space. We continue to be. We just won Inc., you know, the Inc. award for one of the fastest growing companies in the southeastern part of the US. And so I was like, I'm going to do something about this, because I want entrepreneurs to know and believe that there's value in the message that they have to share and the thing that they're here to teach and serve around, and that it's not about just getting clicks or engagement on a post just for the sake of interaction or, you know, ego, feeling good about the fact that a lot of people commented or liked on your post. It's instead about how are you being of service, and how is that service that you're bringing to the world ultimately converting into value for them and dollars for you. And so I wrote the book, and I created this certification, the whole methodology around helping people to understand their unique beliefs, identifying their convictions around the difference that they want to make in the world, and then understanding how to articulate those things in the content that they're creating so that they do have a unique voice and can build a brand of substance, power, and impact online without compromise.
Stephanie, I see you in the group. I'll give you a microphone in a second, but since we're already on that topic, and I took the conversation to a slightly different track. Kelly, if people want to learn that deeper, if we have time, we'll probably continue talking about that a little later in today's honest conversation. But if let's say people wanted to go deeper, what are the options? Do you have a course? Do you coach directly? How do they find you, since we're on that topic?
For sure, absolutely. So the best place to come hang out with me every week is the Kelly Roach Show, because I teach for free. There are no commercials. It is 20 minutes. It's power packed. It's strategy, mindset, things that you can implement in your business to grow right away. So I would say the first place is the Kelly Roach Show. And then secondly, if that idea of conviction marketing that I just shared, you were like, oh my gosh, yes, like that's what I need, go grab the book. Like, 20 some bucks. It's going to empower you. It's going to fuel you. It's going to give you strategy. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on kellyroachcoaching.com. But that's a great way to really take what we're talking about and put it out in the world to grow.
Yeah, buy the book. I think the book purchases are very important for authors. Buy the book. Stephanie, you have you're here somewhere. If you don't want to come with video, then at least with your voice, I'll pass the microphone to you. Oh, there's a video. Great.
I know I had to adjust here. It's early. So my question is, I totally understand what you were saying about, just start it up. You don't need to have all your team in place. You just need to start getting your feet wet and doing the work. And I've done that with I lead retreats outdoors. And so I started that in 2019. But what I'm finding is that through the years, I'm always talking to people, and then I meet more people. You start to put the vibe out, and you meet other people who have done similar businesses. And then I do a lot of research. And what I'm finding is that even though this is something that comes natural and is a passion I feel, I'm finding that one of my main goals in life as well to get more freedom is to find more financial abundance. And this industry so far, typically from everyone I've talked to, it just doesn't make much money. So how do you approach something where you have a passion and a natural talent for something that you can see yourself doing the rest of your life, but it's not necessarily in alignment with some of your other goals, which would be like financial abundance, to allow more freedom to be with your family, and so on and so on?
Yeah,
what happens
absolutely.
when there's that disconnect?
No, I think that's a great question. And I would say that I would continue doing the thing that lights you up and brings you joy and brings you satisfaction and happiness, but you need to create space to add on other products or services that are going to allow you to holistically achieve your goals. Because again, you can feel really happy and excited and fulfilled doing these retreats, but then if the rest of your life is out of balance because it doesn't provide for the opportunity to do the other things that matter to you, you're not going to feel fulfilled overall, right? So how do you keep doing the retreats that you love and keep that continuing forward as a piece of who you are and as a piece of what you're doing, but then add on other products and services that are going to provide the financial element that you're looking for? Does that help?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Stephanie, for joining us. And yes, I did peek into the conversation in the chat. I'm going to let Bianca keep bringing people up. And while she's doing that, while there are questions still to be answered, you can actually go and join the Q&A and then ask your own question. You might come up next. While Bianca is bringing people up, I'm going to ask my questions. So coming back to conviction marketing, I understand the theory, not the theory, but let's say I understand theoretically that yes, everybody does that. It doesn't help you to stand out, but also as a person who is online, and I've heard so many of those suggestions what to do and how to do, and I know that I usually rebel against that. I don't want to do that everybody else is doing. Yet if you are out there for engagement, for numbers, it's really hard to blaze your own trail. You do feel a little helpless if you are told don't do what everybody else is doing. So is there like a quick suggestion or
Yeah,
quick?
no, I mean, that's exactly why I wrote the book and why I created the method. So the conviction marketing method basically follows a pyramid of how to do your content online. And the book walks you through how to do an unbelievably simple methodology for how you create your content, following how to, hope, and conviction marketing, and allowing you to still drive high engagement, high conversions, get results for your content, keep growing your following using the methodology of the conviction marketing pyramid, which does not require any of those other things. And the big thing that you have to remember is, you know, of course, we're all leveraging social media as a tool to get an outcome in our business. We're not doing this, you know, just for fun. We're doing this because we want an outcome. The thing that's really interesting about a lot of the strategies, and I'll call it tactic, because they're not even strategic, they're tactics that are. I'm so sorry, my puppy just made his way in my office. Why are you barking at me? The big thing about these tactics is, although on a surface level they do bring more interaction, they don't necessarily bring more conversions. Mm-hmm. And the whole thing about the conversion, hold on one second, I'm going to bring him over with us. You guys are going to get to meet my puppy. The whole thing about conviction marketing, this is Marley.
I was actually so curious to see the puppy. Do you mind if I take a picture and then we can see you?
This is Marley. Say hi, Marley, everybody. Say hi, Marley. Are you happy now? You happy now? I don't know what that was all about. So the whole thing about the method is that when you look at social media, you have to look at what you're doing through the lens of what is the outcome that you want. If the outcome that you want is you want your ego to feel really good because you have a lot of people liking and commenting on your stuff, then all of those strategies are perfect for that. If the outcome that you want and are most concerned about is the impact, which leads to income, then you may have content that has far less quote unquote engagement, but people are being deeply impacted and affected by your work, and it's driving conversions. And that's the thing that I've always seen. I don't have the biggest social media following. There's a lot of people that have far, far bigger social media followings than me from the standpoint of, you know, engagement, followers, convert, you know, whatever, but they're not running 8-figure companies. And so that's the thing, is you have to decide what are your values and why are you doing social media? What is the true outcome that you want? Is it that you want people to be deeply affected by your work and ultimately become your client? Or are those vanity metrics the key thing that's driving you, where you really want to get clicks, conversion, you know, you want to feel really good about the engagement on your post? So those are just some perspectives I would think about.
Yeah, I think it's very helpful to change the perspective and to remember why you're out there. Thank you, Marley, for joining us. And I'm really impressed by how unfazed you are by the fact that you have a moving object in your hands while you're talking. We have Lisa here. I'm not sure if Lisa wants to join with the camera or not, but Lisa, I'm giving the microphone to you to ask a question now.
Thank you, Christina. My question is, how do you find your purpose or mission in life?
Yeah, I mean, I think all of us were given unique gifts. I think all of us have something about who we are that shines through in our natural way of life, in our natural everyday interactions, right? I always say, you know, for people that end up starting businesses, that so many times you are already the go-to in everyone's life for that thing. And so then it becomes a decision about whether or not you want to take that thing that comes naturally to you, that people already see you as a leader in, or see you as a go-to or a guide in, And do you want to then translate that into something that you help people with, right? I think it's very much about what do you feel called to do, to be of service, you know? And I think a lot of times it evolves and it changes over time. I think so many people don't get started because they're like, oh, I don't really feel totally clear. And I think it's about just get started. Just get started, because every business does not end up where it starts. So I think pursuing something and then allowing that to like evolve over time is going to be very helpful.
Okay. Yeah, that's really helpful. Thank you so much, Kelly.
Thank you, Lisa, for joining us. Bianca, as usual, we still have some time, so if anybody else wants to join, I'll be happy. And back to, I want to actually ask a question of Lisa's question, but maybe with a slightly more philosophical spin to that. You somewhere in the beginning of our conversation, Kelly, you did mention about people not knowing what they want. So I guess that's a big thing about starting an entrepreneurship. Starting a business is that you. One type of the business is to actually do what you love. So the philosophical side of the question is: do you think that doing business is something that is for everyone, or it's an option for a certain type of people? And how do you know if you should go into business or maybe stay as a freelancer, as just an artist?
And that's a really important question, and I think it's something that gets confused a lot in the market, because again, entrepreneurship has been glamorized. No. So to answer your question, no, I do not believe everyone should go into business. Absolutely not. I think there are some people that will be far more fulfilled working on a team and for a CEO than would be if they were doing that on their own. I think the distinction is this: if you have something that is a passion that you really love to do, and you love to do that thing, and you want that to be the core focus of your work, I believe that you should do that as a freelancer. Because as an entrepreneur, 1/100th of what you're doing is that craft. As an entrepreneur, you're doing finance, you're doing leadership, you're coaching your internal staff, you're serving your customers. You have 1,000 different jobs. Even when you have a team, you are managing that team, and a very large percentage of your time is spent coaching and leading internally to manage the company. So you have to really look at it from the perspective of, do you want the challenge and do you want the dynamic of working in all of these different areas: sales, marketing, operations, service delivery, and finance? Or do you just love doing this thing? If you just love doing this thing, go freelance, have fun doing it, live life on your own terms. You may not make $5 million, but you're enjoying what you're doing, and you're loving what you're doing, and you're focused on your craft. I think it's really about understanding the distinction between how much of your time and energy is going to be spent on the craft versus how much of your time is going to be spent on actual business leadership, business functionality, the responsibilities that come with being the CEO of an organization.
I can see Deborah is here to join us, but I do want to ask a little bit of a follow-up question to this one. And by the way, those who are joining us, you also have the chance to ask follow-up questions if you have. So the follow-up question for me is, but that also means that if you want to do your craft, that also means that your definition of freedom will probably be a little bit different, and maybe you would not have as part of your picture the possibility to just take a long sabbatical and go do something else.
Right. Exactly. So that's why I think it's important to, coming back to like values, you have to really look at what are your values, right? Because, like you said, if you want to be able to take a sabbatical, I'm taking a mini sabbatical in the month of August. I'm taking the month of August off and just traveling. Well, if I didn't have a team, how would I do that? If I didn't have facilitators in my program, how would I do that? If I didn't have salespeople that were going to keep bringing money in, how would I do that, right? So you're right, Christina. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that you need to think through, and you need to assess your own value system around and make sure that whatever you're building, whether it's a career as an employee, work as a freelancer, running your own business, you have to really, it's like, to thine own self be true, right? I love that quote so much. To thine own self be true. And how can you be true to yourself if you don't know yourself? So it's taking a step all the way back and really asking yourself, what brings me happiness? What brings me fulfillment? You know, what are the things that really light me up? And also, what are the things that really stress me out? What are the things I'm trying to maximize in my life? And what are the things I'm trying to minimize in my life, right?
Mm-hmm. Great. I am going to now pass the microphone to Deborah. You know, it's a very, very interesting conversation because we jump a little bit on topics, but I think it's also nice to give people the opportunity to ask the question of the expert directly. So Deborah, here you go.
Hi, hello, and thank you.
Hi.
Thank you, Kelly. My first question was, what's the difference between influence and persuasion and conviction marketing? I've just been looking into that a little bit more. The reason being is I'm an energy practitioner, and I have about 4 other modalities underneath that that are all linked in: yoga and meditation and acupoint therapy, etc. And I've done, in the last 2 years with the COVID, I've done over 300 videos. I've done 111 daily lives back in March 2020. And I went from that on Facebook Live. I went over to the Instagram and YouTube platform, and I started to do weekly Monday motivations. I've done 31-day meditation challenges during the US election because I could feel the energy, and it really needed some groundedness. This past New Year, I did 8-week New Year, New You challenge. I've hired VAs offshore. I've hired a local VA, and my VAs stunk. Not stunk, but they were giving me more than I needed for framing and putting the closed captioning on my videos and stuff. And it was like $100 a video, and I'm just like, hello, I've got 300 videos, like that doesn't work for me. And then, with going on social media and doing these fabulous, I have a few raving fans, videos and educational pieces that would, walk through our energy body and walk through grounding, centering, and aligning and walking. I'm all about mental afflictions. I study, I'm a bodhisattva, so I'm deep into the study of suffering and mental afflictions and enlightenment for all beings, and into the Dalam Tantra track, which is even more pleasurable meditations, etc. But I'm doing this, but social media doesn't offer me any email lists, right? And then trying to call in the email list. So then I created a membership. And I asked if everybody wanted to be on a membership, and there was yes, but I didn't have any emails to follow up. And I build the membership, and one person signs up. Mm-hmm. So it's, and I'm a practitioner on top of all this. Like, I have a day job somewhat. Yeah. But the whole idea is to get people interested in a different level of being able to heal themselves, a different level of being able to end the mental afflictions and the limiting beliefs. But so that's why I've been now delving into the influence, persuasion, and conviction in the most ethical way. Like, people said, oh, well, you just need to say that you've got this juicy transformation, but every single person is different. It's not ethically responsible of me to say that I can guarantee you this juicy transformation. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Christina, did you want to jump in with something?
I just wanted to clarify the question, but if Kelly, if you have something you want to answer already, it's fine. Yeah.
No, I mean, I would just say a couple things. So I would say it sounds like you're taking a lot of action, which is really, really good. But I feel that you may need to dial in the focus of your action and make sure you balance that with audience building and email list building, and making sure that there's a pathway and a plan, for where you're taking people, right? Because it sounds like your energy is certainly connected with showing up and delivering these challenges for people and creating this content and doing these 300 videos. I mean, that's amazing, but you need to make sure that you balance that with how are you actually building the brand, right? Like, how are you doing audience building and creating a following of people that really desire to learn about this work? I don't think it's really about, is it persuasion or is it conviction or is it influence? I think all of those things are a piece of building an online brand. And I think you can do that with a heart of being of service, a heart of wanting to truly, genuinely help people. But I think just kind of balancing out, like, how are you generating new people that are following you? How are you generating leads that when you create these things are going to have exposure, like more, they're going to have exposure, like people are going to see them, more people are going to experience them. And then how are you making sure that there is a path to go from social media to your email list and then ultimately to convert into paying customers?
But I thought I was doing that. So I guess I don't know the how. I thought I was doing that. And like, am I supposed to run Facebook ads just to like, I've gone on the Facebook ads and I don't quite understand how to do that. So then I'll participate with somebody that's talking about that they know how to do Facebook ads, and then they want $1,000 to do Facebook ads. Or, you know, I'll join a business course. And but you know, that's $2,000 to join a business course. So it's not that I haven't done those. And my message is pretty succinct. Like, I stay on point to what I actually do. I'm not teaching yoga, I'm teaching meditation. I'm not teaching you know, EFT tapping. I'm teaching energy healing. But not that EFT is not energy healing, but I'm doing my flavor. Yeah.
No, I mean, it sounds like to me, and I mean, this is the hard part of entrepreneurship, but you probably are going to have to continue to invest in that front end. You know, whether you want to go back through the courses that you've already purchased and really try to take your implementation to the next level to get a bigger result, or whether you want to save up and say, you know, I'm going to hire a Facebook ads person to help me, you know, do brand building that way, or whether you want to do outbound messaging and simply do it, you know, man-to-man combat, right? The guerrilla marketing style, one message at a time, connecting with people online and inviting them over, you know, to what you do. There's 1,000 different ways that you can generate leads and build audience. And there's lots of different ways that you can do that. It's simply connecting your time and your energy and action to that outcome. Does that make sense?
Yes, but when I heard you speak, what caught me on to coming on to ask my question was, you said that to do these educational things, to do this and to create the team. So I guess would be, as somebody that is raising children, paying a mortgage, still trying to do all this other stuff, and I desperately am seeking a team. What is like, what would be the first place that, like, so. Like, if I go to find somebody to do my Facebook ads marketing, would I just go to Fiverr, or do I just go to?
I wouldn't do that. I would go to like a reputable, you know, like someone that runs Facebook ads for entrepreneurs. Like, there's lots of small businesses that's their whole thing. That's all they do. I would not go to Fiverr. I think you'll end up losing your shirt on that. I don't think you'll find someone reputable. I think if you ask around, I don't know if even there's a Mind Valley community inside this group, but even if you post it in Mind Valley, I guarantee that there are a ton of people within this community that probably work with someone for Facebook ads that could make a recommendation to you. Of course, you always have to vet them yourself, but I'm sure you can find, you know, someone in this group even that has worked with someone or is working with someone right now that they would recommend.
Deborah, I unfortunately I will have to. I know this conversation is interesting and very practical.
Oh, we're there.
We do have in Mind Valley, of course, resources to help people with figuring out how to start the business. I would suggest talking to our community managers. They would be able to suggest the exact programs, the exact. I know we we have a fairly awesome coaching side of our business, which actually helps practically helps people to take off.
I'm on all that. Yeah,
okay.
Thank you so much.
But do talk to them, and thank you for joining us. Unfortunately, I have to be mindful of time because on this platform we are sticking to time. And thank you so much. I'm glad actually you asked quite a few questions because it made the conversation a little deeper. And Kelly, I'm going to ask the last question because we have to finish literally soon. But while I'm asking the last question, I want to traditionally ask people who are right now with us to leave a heart for my wonderful guest. And if you're watching in recording, you can leave it under the video in the comments. And while you're leaving the hearts, and I've enjoyed this conversation, Kelly, I really enjoy your way and your views and your wisdom. And you know, it's nice when you hear an expert and you feel like it makes sense to me and not. And you know, nothing is kind of going like I'm not sure. So thank you for being that kind of author. And I'm sure in fact, guys, if you want more of Kelly, do give a note to our community managers, and maybe we'll bring Kelly back and we'll go deeper.
I would be happy to come back. Yes.
But I do have to ask a last question, and I hope we do have still about 5 minutes. The last question is going to be a little bit unfair. So this conversation has been quite a lot around this success versus fulfillment. And I know it's unfair to say versus fulfillment, but still, does fulfillment necessarily mean success? Success definitely doesn't always mean fulfillment. How is there a way to actually focus on one and be sure that you achieve success, or if you're focusing on success, not to lose the sight of fulfillment? It's maybe too big a question for the ending.
It's a beautiful question, and I don't know if we'll have time to like really unpack all of it in the time that we have left. But what I come back to is the framework for when we look at success. Success needs to be through the lens of your values, and so to me, success and fulfillment can and should be achieved hand in hand if what you're pursuing is really true to who you are, and if you're matching that up, not theoretically, but realistically with the outcome of that, right? So what I mean by that is, even we had an example of the woman earlier who asked about her, you know, experience business and was saying, you know, this brings me a lot of fulfillment, but it's not necessarily going to bring the financial success that I want. Well, then she needs to frame up in that instance, success is that she is delivering events that set her heart on fire, that she feels so deeply connected to, that she is so satisfied with, and she sets up some other organism or entity in her life that's going to help her to accomplish some of those other things that she still is desirous of. So those events can be completely successful and fulfilling for her because she's not trying to make it be something that it's not, and she doesn't have an unrealistic perception of what she's going to get out of that thing. I think so many times success and fulfillment don't match up for people because either A, they're saying that they want something that it's not really true to them. It's not really what is inside for them. And B, realistically, their framework for success can't be met through that thing. So I really feel like it's taking the time to like unpack for yourself, what does success look like for me? What does fulfillment look like for me? How can I bring success and fulfillment together? And I think in some instances, you can have success and fulfillment in one thing. And in other instances, you may find success in one thing and you might find fulfillment in another. And I think it's being okay either way, right? Yeah.
Thank you, Kelly, so much. It has been such a pleasure, and I'm really sad that we have to finish this conversation. I think we could go on, and yes, guys, drop us a note. Maybe we'll have Kelly again.
We'll do it again. It was awesome. I so enjoyed it. Thank you so much to everyone, and thank you, Christina, for having me.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Bianca, for being our angel traditionally behind the curtains. And bye, everyone. See you again soon.
Thank you so much.